The Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party and the St. Lucia Labour Party, we have very strong fraternal relations, and generally speaking the Labour parties throughout the Caribbean, we have strong fraternal relations. In fact, I bring greetings on behalf of my colleague Prime Ministers Roosevelt Skerrit as well as Ralph Gonsalves, who are unable to make it here today. And evidently they're leading Labour parties in their respective countries and in government, so we're very pleased that Pierre has joined us.
Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda and Chairman of CARICOM, Gaston Brown, is optimistic that a newly elected SLP government will mean deeper regional partnerships and cooperation. The leader of the Antigua Labour Party, a guest at the swearing ceremony of the Cabinet of Ministers, highlighted what he views as the people-centric approach taken by all the Labour parties in the region.
We are determined to continue to preside over the socio-economic advancement of our people and to create living standards that are second to none.
How difficult do you think the situation will be now that we have COVID-19 in the Caribbean and we have a new government coming into St. Lucia? What is your hope for our government moving forward?
Well, you know, it will be challenging for Pierre and his new government, just as it has been challenging for the last 16 months for all Caribbean states. But, you know, we're very resilient people, and I'm pretty sure that Pierre and his government, which comprises a number of individuals who served before, including 2 former prime ministers, that they will have the experience and the expertise to weather the storm.
Brown, who has described Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre as a regionalist, is looking to future advancements of intra-regional transportation.
When there's cooperation among CARICOM states, we do extremely well, and we would want to ensure that Philip, who obviously is a regionalist, that he will join in advancing the CARICOM integration movement, and for us to have increased levels of cooperation. The areas in terms of transportation, both maritime and air transportation, that continue to bedevil the region. Those are areas in which we need to have increased collaboration. And obviously too, in terms of harmonization of foreign policy, we're hoping that Pierre and his government, that they will help us to ensure there's greater harmonization within the region.
Proposed changes to the Public Health Act in Saint Vincent to make vaccination mandatory for some professions resulted in protests across the island, during which Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves was left bloodied after he was hit in the head by a projectile. Brown has condemned the act of violence.
I'm sorry to hear if that is the case, and we should never introduce any form of violence during any form of protestations. We saw what happened in the case of Haiti, and the last thing we want is for that type of violence to creep into Caribbean politics, or to become entrenched for that matter. Insofar as the issue of encouraging individuals to get vaccinated, as you know, it is the most significant threat facing the region at this point, perhaps even more so than COVID itself, because unless we achieve herd immunity, then clearly we'll not be able to restore any form of normalcy.
Brown is hopeful that the governance of majority Labour parties will lend itself to greater cooperation in addressing the many problems facing the region. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.